guys.
Okay.
Rabbi, I can't believe you're at the Koisel.
Listen, I decided to put myself in quarantine at the Kotel. You see, I'm keeping the distance from the people behind me.
Unbelievable.
Okay. Are we ready? We're ready. Okay, let's start. Okay. So we're on page 2. We're on page 2 in the Mesilat Yesharim. You got it, Sean? You got it in front of you? Where are you? Okay, good. Open it up. You're going to read today. We're going to make this a little bit more together. Yeah, the English. Come on.
I'm pretty illiterate.
You can read the English better than me. So.
Okay. But I don't have good expression. I'm very
I'll do the other part. Okay.
Okay. Which are we at the top of page 2?
Yeah. Start from the top.
Okay. However, there are a few from this last group who choose to devote thought and study to the total perfection of the divine service, to the love of the eternal, the fear of the eternal, the cleaving of to the eternal, and to all the other aspects of piety. It is not as if they consider these aspects of knowledge unessential. For if
Okay, so stop there a second. Stop a second. So there's such a concept when a person is, and again, I pointed it out yesterday. There could be people that are religious their whole life. They go to the kotel every single day. You see right behind me, and there's a big problem with that is that you don't pay attention to what we call love of the eternal, clinging to the eternal, and other things like that. They spend their time, most of the time, they're spending it on just doing things, but they're not actually making anything affect them. Now, if you turn around and you ask them, tell me something, is this important to you? So what their answer is going to be. So read, he says what the answer is going to be. It's not.
It's not as if they consider these aspects of knowledge unessential. For if questioned, every one of them will maintain that that these are of paramount importance, and that one cannot envision a truly wise person who has not comprehended all of these issues.
So they'll all agree that it's important, right? They'll all agree these things are important. If you ask them, they'll tell you 100% important for me to focus on this. However, continue.
Rather, their failure to devote more attention to the matter stems from it being so clear and so obvious to them that they see no need for investing much time in its study.
Right. So it's so obvious that you ask people, is it important to be a good person? And they say yes. You say, why don't you spend time? What are they going to tell you?
I don't know. It's too obvious.
It's simple. Exactly right. It's obvious. Well, you don't have to spend time on it. It's quite obvious how to be a good person. So I met a guy that that didn't come to Orson, believe it or not. Anyways, so I said to him, he said, I don't come to study. I said, why not? He said, because I don't find it, I'm just a good person. And that's what's important to me. So I said, how do you know to be a good person? How do you know how to be a good person? And he couldn't answer, how are you a good person? How do you decide to be a good person? So I'll just give you a quick moral dilemma that someone, just to show the concept that's not so easy to be a good person. It's not so easy. So the following question came to me by a girl in the community. She said that she had, follow the story. It's a little bit tricky. We'll call the first girl A. Girl A got drunk, went to a party, to town, I don't know where. Anyway, she got drunk, and then she can't remember anything. She just woke up and found herself in some guy's house, a Jewish boy, and she wasn't. Anyways, I don't know exactly the description, but however, it wasn't a pleasant scene, and she felt that this guy was not nice to her, okay, took advantage of her or whatever. So, okay, great. Now we have the dog involved in the shir. This is amazing. Chelsea, thank you. Okay, what's the name?
Frankie, he was barking.
Oh,
It's
okay.
driving me mad.
Okay, good. So anyway, so this girl posts on her Facebook the story. She did not post the name of the guy. She posted the story, but not the name of the guy. That's girl A. Girl B went to girl C, okay, and told her who the guy was. The girl C called me. She called me and asked me, is she allowed to tell her boyfriend the name of this boy? She was wondering. So girl C heard from B who the girl was. And she was asking, could she tell her boyfriend? And I said, why? She says, because my boyfriend, he's friends with this guy. So I said, is there any benefit? So she said, no. So I said, don't say. But here's what happened. She called me 2 days later, and she said she went out for coffee with a friend of hers. Girl C went out for coffee with a friend of hers. And girl C told her, guess who I'm going out with? For the first date, I'm going out with this guy. And girl C, she says to girl C, do you know anything about him? Because I know he's friends with your boyfriend. So she said no, but she called me right after. True story. And she asked me, should she be telling her about this guy? You hear the question? Follow? Okay. So I said,
turn your mic off.
First I said, say who it is. You know, say who why not? Why wouldn't you say who it is? But then when I suggested that to say who it is, what happened is that she said to me, if I tell her, then the whole Jewish community will know who the guy was. So now everyone will know that this guy apparently mistreated a girl when she was drunk and took advantage of her. But the whole community will know about it. On the other hand, if she doesn't tell this girl, the girl will go out with him. What do you do? Anyone? No one wants to give it their opinion. Sean, what do you think? Do you tell the girl?
Yes, you tell the girl.
But then if it's not true, the whole community will know about this guy something that's not 100% true.
Is it true?
Oh, great question. We don't know if it's true or not.
Oh, we don't know.
Well, girl B told girl C, right? But girl A never told girl C.
Right.
So I went and asked this. I didn't know the answer. I went and asked the question to a rabbi, a 70-year-old rabbi in Kolel Bet Talmud. His name is Rabbi Witzberger. And he said that she's not allowed to say because she doesn't know if it's true or not. She's not allowed to. She has no information about it. She's not allowed to go over and say. She doesn't have enough information. The girl, firstly, was drunk, so we don't know all the details yet. Secondly, girl C only heard it from girl B, which maybe B just decided she knows who it is. We don't know how she knows who it is. Maybe she saw them that night and she decided that was the guy or whatever it is. So we don't have enough information to make that decision. So you cannot destroy someone else's life with the mindset of saving someone. Now, this is very important to learn. If a person doesn't learn and he just says, I'm a good guy, so he decides with his own stomach, right? The way he feels, okay, you know what? I'm gonna go and mess up this guy's life because he did it. And she goes and she tells, and this guy gets his life destroyed, can't meet this girl, doesn't get married, he's in his 40s and he's not married. Because there's this story of him mistreating a girl, which happens to be not true at all. So you think, oh, I'm a good person, here I help my girlfriend. But the truth is, you destroyed someone's life. So it's so important for a person to constantly learning. I'm just giving one simple example of a question I got. There's so many more examples of people that think they're doing the right thing, but in the meantime, no, they're destroying someone's life and saying, I'm a good person, I'm a good person. right? So that's a person has to pay attention to that, of how you behaving, how you're treating people. And that's why you asked him if it's important. Everyone will say it's important. You asked him, okay, so why don't you give time to it? And the answer is, the Mesilat Yesharim points out, is because they'll say it doesn't need too much thought. How much thought does it need? Okay, let's continue, Sean. Go.
Yeah. Consequently, the study of this subject and the reading of works of this kind have become the province of those whose minds lack subtlety and who are mentally sluggish. These you will see riveted to the study of piety, and this has given rise to the prevalent idea that anyone striving for piety is suspected of being dull-witted.
Okay, so because everyone thinks it's simple, so therefore, who gives time to it? People that have a sluggish mind. They have a sluggish mind, and they're the ones that are giving time to it, because I love the idea of sluggish mind, you know? I don't know if you ever met people with a sluggish mind, yeah? Okay, so a person that's sluggish, and you know, he's the one that's working on his character traits. He's obviously a problematic person, and he obviously doesn't understand things, and that's how we treat it, because we think that, oh, yeah, obviously this type of person. Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, obviously this type of person is a person with issues, or is slow, and that's why he's not learning other things that are much more complicated than this. That's the mindset we have on this type of person, and that's a problem. He explains now what's the problem. The result of this.
The result of this attitude, however, is detrimental both for those who possess wisdom and for those who do not, since it leaves both deficient in true piety and makes this quality extremely rare. Those who possess wisdom are deficient in piety due to their limited study of it, while the uneducated find it beyond their grasp. Piety,
Okay,
therefore,
you have two people. One is a smart guy, but he doesn't give time to it, and one is a not such a smart guy. He gives time to it, so they both miss out, because the smart people don't get anything because they're not learning it, and those that are not smart don't get anything. Why? Because and the non-smart ones don't get it because it's subtle. So it's very subtle concepts, and a person that's not smart won't get it. So both will lose out, because the smart ones are not learning it and they're meant to, and those that are not smart and learning it, they don't really get the idea. They don't get the subtlety. Okay? Keep going.
yeah. Piety, therefore, is construed by people to consist of the reciting many psalms, making very long confessions, undertaking difficult fasts, and performing ablutions in ice and snow, all of which are incompatible with intellect and reason. In the process, true piety, which we desire and strive for, eludes our understanding. For it is obvious that something which was not...
Yeah. So it seems like people start thinking, oh, you know who's a righteous person? A person that's constantly saying psalms, and a person that's like, you know, walks with his head in the ground and is like very holy and doesn't say hello to anyone and doesn't treat anyone. He's just in his own little world. He barely eats anything. So we start thinking, oh, that's a person with piety. In the meantime, it's things that the miner is not comfortable with. He doesn't dress himself warm. He doesn't dress, you know, people think, oh, that's a person with piety. That's what happens, because piety becomes this like foolish concept. It's not to do with knowledge. That's the mistake that people have. Okay.
For it is obvious that something which does not occupy a place in a person's mind becomes of no concern to him.
Yeah.
And although the beginnings... Yeah.
Keep going.
No. And although the beginnings and foundations of piety are inbred in the heart of every truthful person, if he does not utilize them, he will lose the ability to discern their details, and he'll pass over them without awareness.
Okay, everyone has in their heart, this concept of piety exists, meaning a person can easily develop this concept, but he has to give it time, he has to give it thought and pay attention. But if he doesn't, he's going to miss out, right? That's the idea. So, but it's naturally within a person. It's not something that's not naturally within you. It is naturally within you, but you have to pay attention to it, and people lose it. You know, there's I used to have, when I grew up on a settlement, I had a lot of very close friends. We were like brothers because we grew up all together. It's like about 40 families, and we all knew each other. But then we had a few friends that started smoking quite a bit of weed, and they become a little bit of a potheads. Anyways, but when they became these potheads, they were great guys, great guys. But then they started getting into a situation where a friend of ours rented a car that had hearing problems, and he was getting money from the government, so he had more money than all of us, and he rented a car, and they asked to borrow it. They took it, they drove to Eilat, they kept it with them, and it was fascinating to see people that were like I was close to, they were like brothers, behaving in such a way. And really in the beginning we were trying to understand it. And then eventually we realized it's just that they're a bunch of potheads and they can't think out of their own 2 meters. And I think that's a fascinating thing that can happen to a person if we don't pay attention to our character traits and we don't think. Yes, we start off as good people, but we can easily lose it when we behave in such a way. When a person does not pay attention to his character traits, he could be a great guy. And when you knew him when he was 18, 17, 16, they were nice people, but they slowly lose it because what they're doing is they're not paying any attention. They don't give time. How many people throughout their day throughout their week, make time to even learn for 20 minutes about their character traits? How many people? So many people just live their life and spend so much time on other things, but will not stop for a second to think, wait a second, am I treating people nicely? Am I caring about other people? Do I say the right thing to people? And that's something that we have to pay attention to, because we do have it naturally within us, but we can lose it if we don't pay attention to it. And that's a fascinating insight with which he tells us here. Let's do one more paragraph and we'll end it with this on page 3.
Okay. For piety, fear of the eternal, love of the eternal, and purity of heart are not that deeply rooted within a person, not to necessitate the employment of methods for their acquisition. In this respect, they differ from natural states such as sleep and wakefulness, hunger and satiety, and all other natural instincts.
Meaning we do have it, but it's not natural. We do have it, but it's not natural. The natural one is, the natural things are, example, getting hungry. And those things will never lose. Most people will never lose them because they're natural in a person's body and he won't lose it. But the piety, behaving like a mensch, that's not so inherent into a person. So if he doesn't give it the right amount of attention, he will definitely lose it. Rather, keep going.
Rather, the acquisition of these qualities definitely requires various methods and devices. Furthermore, while there are many factors operating to distance piety from man, there are many elements that can counter these factors. Could it then conceivably not be necessary to expend a great deal of time upon this study in order to know these truths and the means to acquire and keep them? How will this wisdom enter a person's heart if he will not seek it?
Right. So a person has to constantly chase this. And this is something that's important to realize in our day and time. And that is that we live in a generation that is busy. I mean, obviously we all right now not so busy. Even no one, I don't think anyone is busy right now, but except doctors and nurses, obviously. But we're not busy. We're sitting at home. Everyone's trying to figure out what to do with their time. But usually we're very busy and we don't have time for a second. We're on our phones. If not on our phones, we're on Netflix. We're not on Netflix, we're on something else, right? We're always busy with different things. So a person has to know, this is a fascinating thing. You have to stop throughout your day and think, because busyness takes away the opportunity of growth. When a person is busy with life, he will not grow because he will not stop to think about his own life, his own way he behaves, his way he treats people. And that's just something to leave you guys off with. We live in a time right now, we're in a generation where we're in a time, sorry, not in a generation, we're in a time right now that people are not busy. We're all our lives kind of stopped in a way. And I think it's a great opportunity for us to revisit our last year, even just the last year, and see how much time we put into growth. I'm sure some would be very happy with the year that they been by. they grew a lot in the last year. But there's those that would say, okay, there's more I could do for this year to come. And maybe just this whole shakeup that makes us sit at home quite a bit will make us think about it more. Just yesterday, I was sitting at home and all my kids are home. So it's quite fascinating that you have 6 kids at home, and just being at home, let alone that I have to help a little bit more, but just being at home and seeing what my wife has to deal with, all those kids. I mean, wow. You know, I think I have 6, maybe 7. I'm not sure. I can't remember. Anyways, but the amount of kids you have at home, they're all there, and each one needs attention. And then I sat down and read a book with my with Adina and Yakutiel, and it was like, I don't know. I sat and learned with them, and I don't remember not that I learned with them. I'm embarrassed to say, but I can't remember learning with them like that with such a pleasant situation. It just made me think, maybe it's very important to give more time to my kids. So just as an example, something you have to revisit. And no one can become a better person if they don't revisit things, if they don't give time to think about our character traits. So just something to leave you off with to think about. For myself, that was an insight. And hopefully for you guys, it should be an insight to pay attention to our day, what goes on. But this is unbelievable. We'll see anyone that's interested tomorrow. Just want to thank everyone for joining us. Shkar for the claps there. Riv, great seeing you. Zach, Shkaya, Gabi Resnick, amazing. Kayla, wow, amazing. Emmy Greenstein, Ricky.
Cheers, Rab.
Rabbi. Thank you.
Chelsea, as usual. Okay.
Channan, I have a question.
Oh, great. That's what I love. Okay, go.
I understand the importance on reflecting on our characteristics, but don't you think the way we sometimes reflect is biased? We may think that we've treated someone, you know, in a way that we think is right, but maybe to that other person it isn't.
100%. That would be an issue. That when we reflect on things, we many times will be biased. But so there's 2 things about that. One is that firstly, you can always ask someone. You can ask someone, what do you think about this situation that I was in? That helps.
Yeah.
And also, there's one interesting thing that I learned a while back, and that is that we always justify, right? Bias creates justification. So when I'm biased, I justify my behavior to someone, why I did that to them, or why I was late, or why I treated them like that. Now, there's a fascinating thing you can check on yourself and know if you're being biased or are you being a realist. And that is that in order for a person to justify, because it's a lie, justification is sheker. Sheker, it's 3 letters, shin, kuf, resh. Shin stands on 1 foot, kuf stands on 1 foot, resh stands on 1 foot. Emet, truth, stands on 2. Aleph is on 2 legs, mem is 2 legs, and taf is 2 legs. And we're saying like this, that when I justify myself, usually I'll have one excuse, but I won't stay with it because it's not good enough. It's a lie, so it's going to fall. So I throw in another excuse and another excuse. If you find yourself saying like 5 different reasons why what you did was okay, and one reason why it wasn't okay, go with the one, because the one is probably right. I'll give you an example. Your mother asks you to put the dishes in the dishwasher, let's say. I love that example. I don't know why. But anyways, you put the dishes in the dishwasher. I guess because I never do it. And anyways, so what happens is you tell yourself, I don't have to do it because, my sister hasn't done it yesterday. But also I don't have to do it because I do enough in the house. And I also don't have to do it because anyways, the cleaning lady is coming, right? I'm holding already in 3 reasons why I don't have to do it. However, there's one reason why I should. It's my plate and I should put it in. That reason won't change. But I'll pile up a bunch of reasons on one side and one reason on their side. Usually when it's one reason and it doesn't change, it means that's true. The other ones are not true, so I put in another reason and another reason and another reason. So to deal with being biased and justification, 1 is to ask a friend that you know that will tell you the truth, and 2 is to check how many reasons do I need to justify my behavior. That shows that it's not that you're being biased and you're not being true with yourself, that you actually should apologize or you shouldn't have done that or whatever it is. It's just the way they calculate it, 2 ideas.
I like that. Thank you.
Okay, great.
That's great.
Any other question? See you later. See you tomorrow, everyone.
Bye.
Nice
Thank
to
you.
meet you.
Thanks, Rob.
Bye.